Manx Radio Sport.
Good evening, welcome to Saturday Sport Classified. Simon Quine with you through until about 6 o'clock this evening. Busy show coming up. We'll be joined by Tony Mepham to look at football very shortly. Dave Christian joining us to look at the 3 rugby matches from today, and Ben Cunningham as well, as we look at the first weekend of the Men's and Ladies Cup, Plate and Bowl in hockey, and of course the Under-15s League. We'll also be hearing from Rob Pritchard as he brings us team news live from the Bowl as FC Isle of Man entertain AFC Liverpool. Kick-off for that game at 6 o'clock this evening with full commentary coming straight after Saturday Sport Classified from Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham. As always, though, we will start off with the classified results for this afternoon, Saturday the 25th of January, and beginning with football. The Canada Life Premier League finished Moraun 1, Ramsey 2, St Mary's 2, Laxey 4, Rushen 3, Onchan 0. The game between Foxdale and Ayr was postponed. Union Mills 0, St George's 2, Corinthians 7, Peel 5. In Arden and Druggan Limited Division 2, Ramsey Youth Centre and All Boys 6, Pulrose 2. Colby 1, Douglas Royal 3. Castletown 4, Douglas High School All Boys 2. The game between Michael and Maloo was postponed. Canada Life Combination 1, Ramsey against Moraun was a postponement, as was Onchan against Rushen. Laxey 0, St Mary's 2. Peel 3, Corinthians 0, and we are awaiting a result from the game between Ayr and Foxdale. If you have those details, please let us know. 166 177. Arden and Druggan Limited Combination 2, postponements. Pulrose against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. Postponement between Governors Athletic and Douglas Athletic, and also between Douglas High School Old Boys and Castletown. It did finish between Douglas Royal and Colby at Douglas Royal 1, Colby 6, and we're awaiting a result from Jims against Braddon in Combination 2. Again, if you have that, do let us know. 166 177. Moving on to rugby, Regional 2 North West, Winnington Park 10, Douglas 40. Counties 3, ADM Lancs and Cheshire, Vagabonds 24, Fleetwood 10, and in the Cheshire Bowl, Aldershot 7, Southern Nomads 50. In hockey, Men's Cup, Valkyries Men's A2, Harlequin Men's A1. Valkyries Men's B1, Castletown Men's A7. In Men's Plate, Backers Men's B8, Castletown Men's B1. In the Ladies' Cup, Vikings Ladies A1, Harlequins Ladies A2. Backers Ladies A6, Ramsey Ladies A0. In the Ladies' Plate, it's Castletown Ladies B8, Castletown Ladies C0. In the Ladies' Bowl, Valkyries Ladies C2, Vikings Ladies C0. And in Castletown Ladies E4, Harlequins Ladies B0. And in the Under-15s League, Vikings A7, Ramsey Rogues and Rascals 0. Vikings B1, Harlequins B9, and Backers 3, Valkyries 2. Come to hockey and rugby very shortly, but we'll start off with football. And Tony, there's really only one place to start, and I think we need to go straight to the game between the top two. The game you were at for us this afternoon. 12 goals in that game, and what a match it was.
Yeah, I'll just correct that, Simon, because I got carried away when I gave you the result and I said it was 7-5, and I don't think you picked up on my correction when I sent it back to you. That I apologised to you and said it was 7-4, and that's what it was. But a game and a half, this one. I wouldn't say it was blessed with great football, great defending or great attacking at times, but to get 11 goals, and it wasn't that. It was the story that unfolded with the game because, as I've just said to you, it was 3-1 to Peel at half-time. So, your sums will say that Corinthians scored 6 goals in that second half. How did they do that? Some brilliant finishing by Joe Marquez. But let's have a look at the game. Well, Corinthians started off really well because Connor Clark it was who got the first one. A good ball by Dan Simpson down the left-hand side. Connor Clark is a really good player. He's a promising player. He's 17 years of age, and Connor had 2 defenders around him, and he just kept running with the ball and then hit it with his left foot, and the goalkeeper Tate stood no chance, and in it went to go 1-0. But then they just gave away a soft goal. Thomas Brown it was who scored it, put on the plate for him really, and all he had to do was put it past Jack Corran, and 1-1 it was. And then you just felt that the physical side of Peel would come into the game, because Paul Whitehead, he's a good finisher, but he's also very physical and gaining possession of the ball, and that proved its point in the first half. But he made it 2-1 to Peel, and then it was just cruising, and then they got the third one by Paul to make it 3-1 at half time, and Peel were absolutely buzzing. Whatever was said in the changing rooms at half time for Corinthians by Ben Qualtrough and the team certainly fired the players up, because it wasn't too long in that second period where Dan Simpson got his goal of the game and finished it off really well. It was, good move, and he just got himself in a good position, and that's 3-2, looking pretty good. And then João Marquez got a goal to make it 3-3, and then João got his second of the game to make it 4-3, and then a corner ball. Taylor Andrews took it on the far side, bang, straight in, caught everybody out, caught Jack Corran out, and into the net it went to make it 4-4. And then Peel were just piling on the pressure, but then João Marquez got his hat-trick to make it 5-4, and then João got another one to make it 6-4. By this time I was losing count of what was going on. Peel had a penalty, and Tom Brown got the penalty, and I just thought this is going to go in, but it went well and truly over the top. But the talking point, I think, was on that penalty being awarded, because it certainly looked to me as if a Peel player had connected to it. I checked with the officials afterwards, and Stewie Morris, I thought, had a good game, and the officials, because we had 3 on it today, and they awarded a penalty purely because it hit a Corinthians player's hand, and then hit Aaron Castaigne's face, and then could have gone into the net. But the reason why they gave the penalty is because Corinthians player handled it. Now the rules of the game say that the player then should be sent off, but he wasn't sent off because they couldn't identify the individual who the Corinthians player was that touched the ball. So penalty was taken, and as I say, Thomas missed it, and just one of those days for Thomas today. But then Josh Rydens completed the scoring at the end, and they went straight up the other end and made it 7-4. But that 10 minutes from like 80 to 90 minutes seemed forever, because Peel had some chances. Jack Corran pulled off 2 or 3 really good punches getting out, desperate defending, but they just couldn't get it past the goalkeeper for Corinthians. And Corinthians, do they deserve it in the second half performance? Yes, they do. But for me, I just think, Dan Simpson, certainly for, I think it was Josh Ryding's goal, what a superb ball. It's just the way he foiled the fullback, and then the ball came across in the middle, and there was Josh to finish it off. So, yeah, fantastic result. And you've just been looking at the league table. Opens it up big time now, and Peel have got a big game next week against Union Mills, and Corinthians sit it out by rotation. It's their free week.
So the one thing I wanted to ask you, Tony, about this, because when we heard you reporting from it today, it was clearly very blustery up at Ballyfletcher, and obviously when you get a game like this where one team takes the lead in the first half and then it completely turns around in the second half, it's sometimes easy to go, is it the conditions, is it the pitch? But you don't think that was the case. You think Corinthians came out fired up in the second half.
Yeah, definitely, and I wouldn't say it was particularly blustery, to be honest with you, because I thought it was a pleasant afternoon. The sunshine was out.
It's
and
not how it came across.
Yeah, might have been on the microphone coming through, but no, definitely not. And it was just, how can I say, just a centre forward being able to hit that ball with precision and pace, and that's what João Marquez did. All 3 goals were near enough like that. He just made the space for himself and then hit it well, and stood no chance the goalkeeper with some of them. But it was just, Peel never give up. Rhys Oates came on and he created chances. Taylor Andrews, as I say, scored straight from the corner. Great goal by him. But Peel will be disappointed big time, because if they'd won today, to me, it was near enough all over, Simon. But now with Corinthians getting the win, taking the 3 points away from Peel, okay, looking at those league tables now, they're on level points. Corinthians just behind them on goal difference. But Peel still do have that game in hand. The games are running out. I think Corinthians might have 8 to play. They play 24 in the league. So they've done everything that was asked of them, and credit to the young team like Nathan Little. He went in alongside Stewie Smith as centre back and played really well. We lost his expertise in midfield, but it didn't matter because Josh Kane was in there and he was working ever so hard. Noah Vowles again on that right hand side was really strong, and Jack Moyer, on the left hand side kept everything nice, and when you've got one of the best goalkeepers on the island breathing down your neck to get your jersey, and that's Jack Corran. He's not letting it go, and his performance today, certainly in the second half, speaks volume of the young lad. He's improving every week, and with Matthew there coaching him as well, it's going to help him big time. So yeah, it's a big day for Corinthians, I think, because when you look at the players that they've lost, and then just having Dan Simpson back, he offers so much, and it creates problems. And Peel will be disappointed, but they'll bounce back next week, hopefully against Uni Mills.
7 games left to play for Corinthians, 8 left to play for Peel in the league. 7 is the difference in goal, on the goal difference as well. You see, that's another advantage Corinthians have taken. This is a +3 afternoon on goal differences, closing that gap, and 7 games to turn that around isn't impossible either. Yeah, and
I think the big applause must go to Corinthians nullifying Thomas Brown, because I say it week in, week out, and a lot of conversation was said today at the match that how good he is. He's in the Ireland squad, and I'm looking forward, hopefully he makes it to the Ireland games, because there's a lot of football to be played yet, but he'd be my first name on the sheet, there's no doubt about it. And certainly today he was kept a little bit quiet, but he still popped up with a goal. He had a penalty, unfortunately for him, he put it over the top, but it didn't go to plan in the second half, and I'm sure Peter Kenyock and the team will be looking to rectify that next Saturday.
OK, we'll move on to our other featured game this afternoon. Rob Pritchard was at the Bowl for us for the game between St Mary's and Laxey. Finished Laxey 4, St Mary's 2. Did you last night call this for St Mary's,
I did,
yeah.
I did, because I just thought Laxey's defeat last week, Simon, against Russian to lose 5-0, I thought, way to go. But obviously Johnny Palmer's had a few words with them and tried to sort things out, and it's gone to plan for them. Well, let's not spoil Rob Pritchard's excellent report that he sent in, and welcome back, Rob. And it was Laxey took the lead on 15 minutes with a brilliant George Burrows free kick into the top corner from 25 yards. In the 34th minute, they doubled their advantage when Eric Hill hit a volley into the turn from the edge of the box. Not the cleanest strike, but enough to send it looping past St Mary's goalkeeper Harry Callan. On the stroke of half-time, a poor back pass from Carl Clark to Callan went past the keeper and hit the post, deflecting into the path of Hill to tap home from close range. 9 minutes into the second period, Hill sealed his hat-trick, and I think that's his first senior hat-trick. And it was a charging run down the right, saw him get into the box, and from a tight angle smash a half volley into the far corner. St Mary's did fight back, however, through 2 close-range strikes from Mark Wolfenden, the second of which came within 10 minutes to go. St Mary's pushed for a grandstand finish, but the Laxey defence held firm to hold out for 3 points on the road and go above their hosts in the table. So just to tally up, the goal scorers for St Mary's was Mark Wolfenden, once again with 2 goals by him, and for Laxey it was George Burrows, and then that magnificent hat-trick by Eric Hill. So well done, Eric.
Thanks, Rob, as well, for that report. Let's go back up to the top of the fixture list then and look at the Moran-Ramsey game. I mean, we discussed this last night. Everyone knows where Moran are in the table. I think this is a really respectable result for them to 2-1 against a team that are in the top 4.
Totally agree with you, and it was 0-0 for a long time in this game. And Dean Turton, thank you, Dean, for the match report. A game of 2 halves here. Bit of a bore fest in the first half, to be honest. You are honest, Dean, but it really came to life after the break. Ramsey took the lead on 64 minutes when Callum Holdham, now Callum, I'll guess he is about 18, fired into an open net from 35 yards. 10 minutes later, Moran substitute Mikey Collister and Alex Macquarie linked up to level the game, with a Macquarie powering home a header from a corner. But Ramsey won it with 7 minutes to go as Liam Cooper broke down the left wing, fizzed the ball across the 6-yard box, and Dylan Pickles was determined to beat his man and managed to poke it home from close range to win it for Ramsey and pile on the pressure for Moran, who looks set to be relegated from the same division for the second season in a row. Just to clarify that, obviously Douglas Royal asked at the start of the season to take voluntary relegation because of the problems that they had, and we only asked Moran to come back in. If they wanted to stay, they could have stayed, but they said no, we'll go back in the Premier League. And I still think Moran will have a say towards the end of the season, because when you've just said there about the league tables, Moran 1, Ramsey 2, that is really good performance by Moran.
We'll go to the two games then that are going to have an impact at the bottom half of the table. First of all, we'll look at Russian against Onken. Now, Russian, of course, fresh from that 5-0 win against Laxey last week. More goals for them again this weekend.
Yeah, it's really good, and clean sheet as well, which will please Andrew Moody as well. But Stevie Riding, rolling back the years, he scored on 48 minutes to give Russian the lead. And then they had to be so patient. 4 minutes from the end, the second one came. Steve Riding with an absolute belter. Thank you for the description, Mr. Farragher. And then 3 minutes later, Aaron Hawley popped up and got the third one. So good result for Russian. A little bit pressure on Onken. We'll come to St George's scoreline in a minute. But I'm pretty certain that the young players there will get themselves back into it.
Well, that was the other one, wasn't it? We were talking about was Union Mills against St George's. Again, we called this as a Union Mills win last night, but St George's coming out victors, and that's a crucial 3 points, especially in light of that Russian Onken result.
Well, it is, and Onken won't be happy with that one, and well done to St George's, because that puts them on 11 points now, 3 points behind Onken. Chris Bass Jr. With a goal, so well done, Chris. And Michael Hughes got the second one, and thanks to Johnny for a report, and just said it was a real good battle by St George's. So, they're not going to go down, if they do go down, without a good fight. And today, that's a big 3 points for them against a high-flying Union Mill side, because I had them down as a comfortable victory today.
Okay, move on to Arden and Drug Unlimited Division 2. Start off with the Ramsey Youth Centre against Paul Rose. Again, another good comprehensive win for Ramsey Youth Centre, 6-2 on the day. Yeah,
and as I said to you in the preview last night, Ramsey Youth Centre, I noticed last week against Malou, they've got some tricky young players in there. And certainly one who got his name on the score sheet last week, got a hat-trick today. Ross Crawford got 3. Jamie Brew got 1. Declan Cowell got 1. And Tom Hall got the other one. So 6 goals for Ramsey Youth Centre. Paul Rose did get 2. James McGinn with a goal, and Ryan Logan got the other one.
Colby 1, Douglas Royal 3. Colby perhaps a little bit disappointed with that result, looking at the table, do you think?
Definitely, I would agree. And good performance by Douglas Royal. Jordan Cowan, their new signing this season, he got a couple of goals. Simon Dooley as well, always weighs in with a goal here there. But Nick Clegg it was who got the goal for Colby, but big 3 points for Douglas Royal.
And Castletown looking to keep the top 3 in their touching distance in the league. Castletown 4, Douglas High School Old Boys 2. That's a big win at the top of the table for them too.
Great result for Castletown. They needed that really to take the points away from Old Boys and just claw them back into the pack. Nathan Cardy was the star. Well done, Nathan. He got the 4 goals for Castletown. But for Douglas High School Old Boys, it was Zach Watterson with 1, and Jacob Stones as well got the other one. So Old Boys with a couple of players missing with suspensions today has probably cost them dearly, but Castletown capitalised on that and pick up the 3 points.
And final one, Michael against Malou, was a postponement. You mentioned that some significant issues with the pitch down there following the storm in the last sort of 24, 48 hours or so.
I read it this morning and my heart just sank for them, because they work ever so hard down at Michael, and when you hear these sort of reports, you just think to yourself, wow, I feel so sorry for them. Just see if I can find it here. Hang on a second, because there's been a lot of damage down there with the trees, and there it is. Wow, when you look at the pictures, I'll pass them on to you. Absolute nightmare. Trees down, so no access to the clubhouse. One of the goals bent and wrecked due to the winds. Dugouts destroyed and all over the pitch. Then clubhouse boiler now won't work, so no hot water. What a nightmare. And when you look at the pictures with the trees across the road, there's 2 leaning into it as well. We feel for you, because same thing happened with Storm Darragh, I think it was, with Colby. Their dugouts were destroyed as well. So, yeah, it hurts, because, those dugouts aren't cheap.
Yes, that's very true. Well, hopefully we have weathered the storm there, and that's all we've got for the winter, and we can crack on with the fixtures. Before we come to Combito, just in terms of these fixtures that have been postponed today, where are we looking in the calendar to squeeze these in? Because I know we're not in a particularly bad position this year.
I'm in probably one of the best positions I've been in since I've done the fixtures, because up until November, I've never known anything like it. Yes, we've picked up a few more now, but with the FA Cup starting now, we've got sort of teams that will go out so we can play them against each other. We've also got the Woods Cup as well, so teams go out in that one. So we just organise them as we can, but it's always the big rush towards the end of the season, isn't it? Where we have so many fixtures playing, we have the cup competitions, we have the night games. It's like every week, but there's nothing you can do. We started a week earlier this year, and we've had a great run, but we still find ourselves with a few games that we need to rearrange.
Okay, moving on to Canada Life Combination 1, Ramsey against Moran was a postponement, and so the first result we've got was Laxey 0, St Mary's 2.
Yeah, an expected result, I think. I know Laxey had a good win recently, but Jamie Skillen on the score sheet once again seems to score every week, and Dylan Vick got the other one there for St Mary's.
Onken against Russian was also a postponement. Ayr against Foxdale, I still haven't got any details on that. Do we know if that game went ahead?
Yeah, well, it's not down as a postponement, so, if anyone could text us through, please, it would help us big time. No, nothing's come through yet.
Okay.
So
166, 177 if you do have that combination 1 score between Ayr and Foxdale, and that brings us on to the final game in the division today. Peel 3, Corinthians 0.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a surprise as well, but they're close to each other in the league. But Toby Little with one of the goals for Peel, Alex Brown on the score sheet as well, and Matthew Pigeon got the other one. So cracking result that for Peel.
Okay, combination 2, Pulrose against Ramsey Extension Old Boys was a postponement. Douglas Royal 1, Colby 6.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of this. Looked a bit of a battle, but Colby did well. 3 in each half, 3-1 up at half time. We haven't got Douglas Royal's goal scorer, but for Colby, it was Jack Fordham. He got 4 of the goals, and Seb Spears got the other 2.
And Governors Athletic against Douglas Athletic, a postponement. Douglas High School Old Boys against Castletown, a postponement. And Jim's against Braddon, we're still waiting on details. So again, 166, 177 if you can provide us with those. Tony, you are off down to what's probably going to be quite a chilly bowl this evening for FC Isle of Man against AFC Liverpool. It's been the first home game for a little while. What are your thoughts ahead of that?
Yes, it is going to be cold, and unfortunately, I haven't got a jumper with me. I've got a coat, but I felt it this afternoon later on. So, yeah, it could be pretty cold. Hopefully, Rob's got a cup of tea down there for me. But, I just hope that FC Isle of Man can get the result. But from what I'm hearing, there are a few players short. And I know you're going to have Rob shortly with team news, but I believe Sean Doyle is not going to play. He's not well, so that's a shame. And Jan Marquez, who scored 4 goals for Corinthians today, is on his way down to play for FC Isle of Man as well. So the form he's been in this afternoon, if he can continue that, that'd be something to watch. But just all over, I think, FC Isle of Man have been given a bit of a bum deal, to be fair. Some of the results I thought they deserved to win. It hasn't quite worked for them. We need to find that... how we express ourselves best, I think, is using the left wing and the right wing. I've always said that. I think that's our strength with Steve Whitley or Dan Simpson or Charlie Higgins down the left-hand side, and then the delivery in. But Sean's going to be a massive loss tonight, so maybe Dan Hattersley. I'm not too sure, and hopefully we'll catch up with Rob shortly and find out what the team news is.
Yeah, Rob will be joining us from the bowl as soon as we've looked at rugby and hockey. Combi 2, we've got a result now. Jim's 1, Braddon 7 was a result in that game.
Okay.
So thank you to text ending in 855 for those details. Right, Tony, I will let you go and brave the cold down at the bowl. Have a good evening down there, and hopefully it's a good game. FC Isle of Man taking on AFC Liverpool. Kick off at 6 o'clock with full commentary here on Manx Radio.
Manx Radio Sport.
And with the time at 26.5 minutes after 5 o'clock, let's hand over to Dave Christian for a review of today's rugby action. Good afternoon, Dave. Are you there, Dave? Can you hear us? Got the rugby action from today. Okay, we haven't got Dave, so what we'll do is we'll go to Ben instead and we'll look at hockey. We'll try Dave again in just a couple of minutes' time. Right, Ben, it was the Cup, Plate and Bowl, the first round of these today. So you were explaining last night on the preview programme, the semi-final draw had already been done. There's a predetermined route to the final in these competitions. So what we'll do probably is go through the results in each competition, and then you can tell us what the semi-final draw is going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
So Men's Cup, we had started off with Valkyries A taking on Harlequins A. Valkyries A coming out on top, 2-1 winners.
Yeah, Valkyries really made to work, and from the report I've heard, Valkyries took it with the last touch of the game, so massive result there for Valkyries. Alex Neal and John Grove Jackson for Valkyries A, and then Cameron Room for Harlequins. But Harlequins will be really disappointed because had that last gasp attempt from Valkyrie has not gone in. They were going to take them to penalty flicks and potentially could have got it there.
Okay, next game in the Men's Cup, Valkyries B1, Castletown A7.
Yeah, this is the game I covered for Saturday Live. Castletown A were really on it today. They were right on it from minute one all the way till the final whistle. Archie Cox with 4 goals, Ned McGregor with 2, and George Powell with 1. And then Valkyries' consolation came from a penalty flick, which was scored by Steve Cottier. The penalty flick, it was given by the umpires. Basically, the last man and one of the Castletown defence came just running in, completely missed the ball, just took the player straight out, and it, as much as Castletown's defence argued it was a penalty flick. So yeah, Castletown go into the semi-finals. So the semi-finals looks like this. Castletown A have got to play Valkyries A, so if they're not sick of the sight of Valkyries B today, they've got to play Valkyries A now. And the other semi-final, and it's a big one, Vikings A against Backers A in the semi-finals.
Okay, and dates for these semi-finals. The first weekend in March. I'm sorry, I've caught you off guard there.
Come back to me.
It's okay. We'll deal with the plate first then. Just the one game in the men's plate. Backers B8, Castletown B1.
Yeah, I umpired this game this morning, and 8-1 really doesn't say how this game went. 2-0 at half-time to Backers B. Then Castletown got a goal back in the early stages of the second half, and it looked like things were going to get really competitive, but then Backers just found another gear, and they just went marching on. For Backers, it was Craig Leese with 4, Doug Quayle with 1, Will Wiseman with 1, Alex Stewart with 1, and Jack Grimley with 1. And then the Castletown consolation was from Brian Fulham-Jones.
And the men's bowl, there was no first-round game in this. That goes straight to semi-finals.
That goes straight to the semi-finals. So the men's plate semi-final is Backers B against Ramsey A, and then Vikings B against Harlequins B, who both got byes in the first round, as did Ramsey A. And then the men's bowl is Valkyries C against Backers Colts, and Castletown C against Vikings C.
Okay, moving on to the Ladies' Cup. Vikings A1, Harlequins A2.
Yeah, massive shock this one. Vikings A, probably one of the favourites to get through to the final, been knocked out in the first round. I think it's the first time I've heard Vikings A in a long time being knocked out in the first round. Against Harlequins A, who really, after losing 2-0 to them in the league last weekend, really wanted to get one back on them this weekend, and they have done. Kirsty Cooper for Vikings A, and then for Harlequins it was Ella Blakemore with both goals.
And the second game in the Ladies' Cup, Backers A6, Ramsey Ladies A0.
Yeah, Backers A getting a good win there, and hopefully it'll be a sign of a good cup run for them. Ramsey A, though, they'll be disappointed that they can't get a good run in the cup, and for them it's just back to league action, but also they'll be determined to stay up in the Premier League after being promoted back up. Summer Craig with 2, Emma Corton with 2, Sophie Hudson and Leah Mellor. So your semi-final in the Ladies' Cup is Harlequins against Backers, and then Valkyries A against Castletown A, who both got byes in the first round.
Okay, Ladies' Plate, Castletown B8, Castletown C, the Southern Derby 0.
Yeah, Southern Derby, and you'd favour the B team to come out on top over the C team. The B team carrying on. For the C team, it's back to league action. Ella Grace Edwards with 1, Kira Kelly with 2, Eden McCubbin with 1, Gypsy May Quirk with 1, Fern Bagazzi with 2, and Nikki Kane with 1. So your semi-final in the Ladies' Plate is Castletown B against Valkyries B, who got a bye in the first round, and then Vikings B against Backers B. Both of them teams received byes in the first round.
Okay, and finally the Ladies' Bowl, Valkyries C2, Vikings C0.
Yeah, I'm just getting the sheets right. There we go. Yeah, good result there for Valkyries. They were coming into this off a loss, and their first game, obviously, of the season was cancelled because Ramsey's pitch was unfit to play. Kira Buchanan and Emma Miller with the goals for Valkyries C to give them the the onward journey into the semi-finals.
And final game in the Ladies' Bowl, Castletown E4, Harlequins B0.
Yeah, good result there for Castletown E. I had a feeling that this one might have gone to Flicks, but Castletown E seemed to have come out with the goods today. Ailey Cubban with 3 and Imogen Butler with 1. So your semi-final for the Ladies' Bowl is Valkyries C against Castletown E, and then Ramsey B against Backers C.
And the Under-15s League, Vikings A7, Ramsey Rogues and Rascals 0.
Yes, Henry Stewart with 3, Theo Roberts with 3, and James Baker with 1.
Vikings B1, Harlequins B9.
Yeah, good result there for Harlequins, and the goal scorers in that one for Vikings B, it was Archie Knight with the goal for Vikings B, and then for Harlequins it was Ollie Barber with 1, Benji Barber with 2, so Benji Barber's got bragging rights in the Barber household, Sam Neto with 2, Aidan Lease with 2, and Grace Madrill with 3.
And we finish off the fixture list in the Under-15s League with a tight game at QE2 this afternoon between Backers and Valkyries. Finished Backers 3, Valkyries 2.
Yeah, real tight game, and I think this is I think it is, but according to the Valkyries text which we've had in, this is Valkyries Under-15's first loss of the season, so they've done really well to keep the winning streak up to now. For Backers, it was Gene Vissel with 2 and Ryan Cartwright, and then for Valkyries, it was Caleb Quayle with both goals.
Okay, and just to confirm then, did you manage to find the date for the Cup Plate and Bowl?
I'm just getting it for you now. If it'll load. This is very technical.
Just entertain. People just entertain themselves.
Yeah.
Themselves for a minute while we find this. Sorry,
So,
I should have prepared you for that question, Ben. Really
the second round, so the semi-final round, is on the 1st of March.
Right, okay, 1st of March, so first weekend in March for the next round there. I must say as well, Ben, just a huge thank you to the hockey teams who've, it's been such an easy afternoon. We've had most of the scores come through. It's been a dream today, hasn't it, to deal with?
Oh, it's been a massive dream. I mean, okay, today we've not had as many fixtures, but if it could be like this every weekend, it would be greatly appreciated. All clubs today have really done well in getting scores in good time. Lots of praise for the umpires as well. Yet again, of course, we've got more new umpires this weekend making their debuts. So a lot of clubs giving them a good shout out, which is great to see.
Fantastic, Ben. Thank you very much. You'll be back you'll be back on Friday, but we'll be back here next Saturday in this chair, looking after things on the programme.
Yeah, swapping over again, aren't we?
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Speak to you next week.
Manx Radio Sport.
Okay, 25 to 6 here on Saturday Sport Classified. Let's try again. Dave Christian for review of today's rugby. Good evening, Dave.
Yeah, good evening, Simon. Apologies to everyone for that. I had some electrical gremlins to deal with, but they're all now disposed of, and we can get on with the rugby scores. I guess the headline is that Douglas win away at Wellington Park. Douglas haven't had the best away run this season. This is only their second win away from home. But they did it in some style as well, with a bonus point in a 6-try performance, 40 points to 10. The win doesn't improve their league standing. It still leaves them in 8th position, but they're now well within striking distance of a top 5 finish, and a concerted effort towards the end of the season will give them that, and potentially a springboard to go on to for next season. The tries today, Jonty Cope, Charlie Henthorne, Kyle Martin, Simon Hodgenott, a penalty try, and perhaps the most notable score today was Ryan Wren. He transferred from Ramsey just after Christmas, or was it just before? I can't quite remember. But that was his first score for Douglas since his move. Nathan Robson added 5 conversions today, and I think Douglas's nearest rivals in the table are Widnes, who suffered a big defeat, and Douglas now close to within a point of them, and I think 3 points now away from that 5th place. Vagabonds not had the best of seasons. They've only won once before today, and today they were playing Fleetwood, and against everyone's predictions, including my own, they come out with a bonus point win, which is a great result for them. 24-10 the lead, the final score was there at Ballafletcher. We covered that one for Saturday Live. Fleetwood took the lead 4 minutes in. Mitch Gorse try converted by Ricky Newton, and with just 4 minutes on the clock on the first try in, I had the feeling that a big defeat was on the cards, but fair play to Vagabonds. They showed a little bit of grit this afternoon, and they struck back just before half-time with a try from Tom Gascoigne. And when the teams turned round, Fleetwood led 7 points to 5. Early in the second half, Captain Dan Bonwick put Vagabonds in front. That try wasn't converted, so the lead was 10-7. And almost immediately afterwards, Vagabonds obligingly coughed up a penalty for Fleetwood. Ricky Newton knocked that through the uprights, and that tied the game at 10-10 with just under half an hour to play. Newton missed a second penalty midway through the half, but the rest of the game belonged to Vagabonds, and in the final 10 minutes, they eased away. Tom Gascoigne got a pushover try, his second try of the game, and in the closing minutes, Dan Bonwick also went in for a second try, and that claimed the bonus point for Vagabonds. Bonwick also converted those final 2 tries in a proper captain's performance. That doesn't improve Vagabonds' league standing, but it will give them a massive shot in the arm now. In 2025, they've played 3-1-2, which is really good going. And if they can just turn on the taps a little bit more, they can pull away from that next to bottom of the table position they're in. Their nearest rivals down there, Orrell, picked up a win today, but the Vagabonds win makes sure they keep them at arm's length. The final game of the day was the Cheshire Bowl, and the Cheshire Bowl played on a league format, 4 teams in the league, Southern Nomads, Aldershot, Port Sunlight and Western Vikings. So 2 Isle of Man sides in there. Nomads played Aldershot today. They won 50 points to 7. It's their final game of the 3. That guarantees them a place in the final. Nomads captain Finn McGregor went in for 2 tries. Back row man Max Elwig in for 2 as well. And the other scores came from Harry Brereton, the Crane brothers, Rob and Mikey, getting 1 each. And Tony Quine also weighing in with a try. Mark Young added 5 conversions. It looks likely that Nomads will face Port Sunlight in the final, and that's on a date and at a venue yet to be confirmed by the organising committee. In the Cheshire Bowl, in the Cheshire Vars competition, Ramsey will be playing New Brighton in the final of that one, and I suspect what Cheshire RFU will be doing is trying to organise a venue to put both games on the same afternoon. My guess is Easter, but I'm only guessing yet. The organising committee are meeting, I think, this week. And hopefully we'll have some confirmation by this time next week. But congratulations to Southern Nomads, and well done to Douglas and Vagabonds. Manx flag flying properly this afternoon.
Dave Christian, thank you very much. More or less it for Saturday Sport Classified. Before we wrap things up for this week, though, FC Isle of Man are back in action at the Bowl, just 20 minutes away from kick-off in the tie against AFC Liverpool. Full commentary from 6 o'clock this evening with Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham. And without further ado, we can hand over to Rob Pritchard for team news.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. Welcome for the first time this evening to the Bowl Stadium under the floodlights ahead of this NWCL Premier Division encounter between FC Isle of Man and AFC Liverpool. We'll bring you team news now. Let's start with FC Isle of Man. Just the one change from the side that suffered that 2-1 defeat at Padiham 7 days ago, but it could be a significant one, and it confirms what Tony Mepham was reporting on the programme earlier. Sean Doyle, the top scorer, drops out through illness, coming in after his heroics today for his local side Corinthians in that big top of the table encounter in the Isle of Man leagues. João Marquez gets the nod. He'll start from the bench. So the starting lineup for FC Isle of Man: in goal is Adam Killier, and then it's Callum Sherry, Jacob Crook, Alex Maitland, Carl Watson, the captain Steve Whitley, Sam Baines, Adam Adebayi, Dean Pinnington, Charlie Higgins and Jack McVeigh. FC Isle of Man substitutes are Ronan McDonnell, Daniel Gerrard, Luke Booth, Jack Kamada and João Marquez. For the visitors, AFC Liverpool, there are 3 changes made by Phil Stafford to the side that had that late 3-3 draw against Pritchard last Saturday. And dropping out this time around, Daniel Mahaffey, Thomas Beckett and Rhys Williams coming into the fold this time around for the trip over the Irish Sea. Joseph Cunningham, Luke Porter and Joel Skillen. So your AFC Liverpool side lines up as follows. In goal is Harry Campbell, and then it's Owen Fisher-Jones, Nathan Giblin, the captain, Adam Moorcroft, Adam Sudworth, Bobby Murphy, Caleb Jones, Louis Lancaster, Elliot Taylor, Matthew Brown and Liam Payton. And the substitutes for AFC Liverpool tonight, they are Harry Wright-O'Connor, Joseph Cunningham, Luke Porter, Joel Skillen and Cameron Rooney. Your referee this evening is Daniel O'Brien and his assistants are James Cherry and Janine Doyle. For FC Isle of Man, they've unfortunately from their perspective followed a trend that has haunted them in the last couple of seasons at the turn of the calendar year. They're on a poor run of form here and just losing 5 of their last 6 games with just the 1 win to show for it in that time. That puts them 22nd out of the 24 teams in the form table over the last 6 games. And it doesn't look like it's going to be an easy task tonight. They come up against an AFC Liverpool side who they do not have a favourable record against. They've won just 1 of the 7 meetings in all competitions they've had with the Merseysiders since they first met back in 2022. From AFC Liverpool's perspective, well, they led 3-1 against Pritchard last weekend with 85 minutes on the clock, but 2 late goals saw Phil Stafford's side pegged back, taking just 1 point at the Marine Travel Arena last weekend. And for both these teams, well, the playoffs, they're looking a bit of a distant hope at the moment. Given results elsewhere and given FC Isle of Man, particularly their poor form of late, it means they're 7 points off the playoffs going into this weekend. This isn't even taking into account some of the results we'll have had in the division earlier today. Dropping points again today for FC Isle of Man would certainly not be the end of the world. Mathematically, it is still very much possible to make it towards those top 5 places. But dropping points tonight, and particularly coming away empty-handed, could leave them with an awfully big job to do for the remainder of the season. But just on a final note, really, from an FC Isle of Man perspective, it might sound all a bit doom and gloom. There is a positive in there. The last time these two sides met here at the Bowl toward the tail end of the last season, it was FC Isle of Man that came away with victory. Maybe they can harness some of that power they had towards the end of the last campaign to try and take a result here today. It won't be easy for them. AFC Liverpool are certainly not going to take this lying down. FC Isle of Man versus AFC Liverpool kick off at 6 p.m, so in just over 15 minutes' time.
Rob Pritchard, thank you very much, Rob Pritchard. Tony Mepham on commentary duty this evening, as it says, from 6 o'clock. That is pretty much it for Saturday Sport Classified. Do stay tuned for that commentary from 15 minutes or so time of FC Isle of Man against AFC Liverpool here on Manx Radio AM 1368 and Manx Radio AM on DAB. But just for the time being, and just a reminder as well, this programme available very shortly as a podcast from wherever you get your podcasts from or manxradio.com. But for the time being, we'll hand you back to Manx Radio Gold.
Manx Radio Sport.